Hi, I'm going to be giving you the pros and cons of cardboard tubes and emergency pods. So first, we're going to start out with cardboard tubes. So the pros of cardboard tubes. We have, first of all, it's recycled paper. It's all recycled paper, which is like really good for the environment. Second, we have waterproof, and that's really important for infrastructures to be waterproof because they are going to be like holding people inside or things inside. It's really strong. They make houses out of it. You know, these tubes are very hefty. They're fireproof. It's a no-brainer. They're really easy to build and destroy, basically. So, wherever you go, they're easy to put up and they're easy to take right back down. It just depends how long you want them. They in the end of this TED Talk, he stated that he started using them for natural disasters. So anytime a natural disaster occurred, he would be first on site. You know, he brought his tools and whatever he needed to build these homes for people to, get out of the cold and have a place to lay their head at night. It's permanent. Like I said earlier, you can build it, keep it as long as you want or as little time as you want. So they're easy to build and take down. And it's cheap. It's really cheap. Next we have cons. At first he said it was hard to test. He didn't know how many tubes he would need, how much they could hold. So it was really hard to test before making an actual product. In the beginning of his TED Talk, he talked about how he wasn't working for society. He was only working for people who had money to pay him. He wasn't bettering our society by building stuff for people who had money. He wanted to make stuff for people who needed it. And then he used his own money, so obviously that's quite a big chunk of change. Some questions that we were asked were who would have paid for this for him. It was any government that would help, mostly his own money. He would have to raise his own money. Barriers to market, cement companies and industries and wood industries weren't liking it because, they weren't using their products, but also people wouldn't know what cardboard tubes were. It's recycled paper. They aren't going to trust that. People who are most likely to use this are, refugees, homeless people, people in general during natural disasters, anyone really. And they're most likely to be used after natural disasters, as he states at the end of his TED Talk. So next we're going to move on to emergency pods. Some pros for this are you can put it in any environment. It can react to any situation in disaster. It's not hard to set up at all. It's really light. In the TED Talk, he shows how you could lift it up, or says how you can lift it up with your hands. It's easy to transport. It's a good one. Sleeps four people, and he talks about how you can connect pods and, it can turn into a living room, a family room, or whatever you want. When natural disasters hit, you can turn them into an instant neighborhood instead of just crowding people into like a gymnasium and just not having any privacy. And it can be modified, so you can, like I said earlier, can change it into a study or a living room or whatever. And then we have the cons. He, in the TED Talk, was talking how it was so hard for him to make it real. He had gone to the government, but he was told otherwise. He had gone to private sectors. They said no because it wasn't really a reputable company. He also said that he went to nonprofit organizations and, it just wasn't working out for him. And he also had to use his own money. So questions for the emergency pods were, who paid for this? He currently is still paying for it himself. Barriers to market, it's not being sold by a reputable company. It's not being sold by a big company, so no one's really going to be paying attention to it because, people might think it's not legit. Most likely to use it, again, refugees, homeless, regular people, anyone, same as the cardboard tubes. Most likely to be used during natural disasters, and transportation, they can stack like coffee cups, so they are easy to transport.